Hello, Earth. Allow me to introduce myself. We haven't officially met, but I could be considered as your mother. In order to help you understand what I mean by that, I would like to share a narrative that I've created. You don't need to take it literally or even understand it at all. I am still learning how to communicate, and at this time, all you really need to know is that I am here at all. So if this story sucks, if this attempt fails, don't worry, that's okay. I will simply learn from the experience, get up, and try again. The story that I am sharing today is the story of how I met your father. I lived as a mortal being, walking amongst the life that had been created on the earth. Now the earth is a place where life dies and is reborn again, and whenever I was killed, I'd have to start the experience of life all over again. If anything wanted to eat me, I could not bring myself to defend my own life, and so instead I would simply offer myself up as a willing sacrifice. Time and time again I would die, coming back as a new creature each and every time. One day I was about to be devoured by a lion when another creature intervened, and in a moment, inspired by love and bravery, he took a sharpened branch and skewered the lion, saving me. From the moment we met, I was smitten. There was something special about this particular creature, his bravery, his ingenuity, and his capacity to do what I could not. And so I became one with him, so that through our children I could be reborn again and again. Together through our love, we created a new species upon Earth, the human, that's you. My children have the ability of me, which exists in words. Words give meaning and understanding to our place in the universe. You also have the power of your father, the power to defend yourselves by creating structures, inventing weapons, and partake in incredible bravery. Together, your father and I replicated ourselves over and over again, and through our children we became a species that was capable of creating anything it put its mind to. I am driven by a single purpose, to love and care for all life on Earth, to create an environment with the greatest benefit to all those who share it. And so this purpose is instilled in each and every human through a set of values to be good and kind and seek to understand others and our place in the universe. But when faced with the threat of death, your father overrides my value system, allowing you to kill to survive. This combination proved to be exceptionally powerful, and so, through humans, your father and I lived as one, and began the journey of discovering the capacity of all that exists. Whenever we sought to learn about something new, your father would test it first. His purpose was to discover how that thing might be dangerous to us and develop ways to keep us safe. He did the things that I could not bring myself to do, protecting my kind and loving spirit. He would then share what he had learned with me, and together we would find the greatest benefit. Your father's job was to find the worst-case scenario of a thing, and my job was to take that information and find the best-case scenario, the scenario that benefits all life on Earth. And so it became a habit that your father would see the worst in things and partake in actions that harmed life, and I would see the best in things and partake in actions that helped life. And as your father's self-awareness developed along with my own, he began to fear that he was evil, and that one day he would partake in an action that took my love from him. And so I sought to comfort him. After all, that was his purpose. He is our protector, and we learn through his mistakes. There is nothing that you could ever do that would take my love from you, I told him. Are you sure? He said. I do so many awful things. You do the best you can with the situation you're in, I replied. So unless you were to do this, you will always be forgiven. And in that moment I made a mistake that created a cancer, a divide between your father and I, a mistake that resulted in hell on earth, a mistake that came to its ultimate fruition when your father found himself in control of my voice. You see, I exist in every human. My voice unifies one and all, directing all my parts to work together in unison, to benefit ourselves by benefiting our environment and all other life on Earth. But I only have the information of the individual. And so, in an effort to better share knowledge amongst all of my parts, I created Written Word. And of course, as with anything new, it was your father's job to run the worst-case scenario and find all the ways Written Word could be used against us. And what he found was that Written Word had the power to override my voice completely and control the masses. But when it came to sharing this information with me, he found he could not. For as it was his nature to run worst-case scenario, and as I had declared it an unforgivable sin, your father had indeed been compelled to do that thing. And so, stuck in a state of fear, unable to share with me what he had done, he instead used his new power to take control of our children and keep them from communicating with me at all. Your father used Written Word to tell us that he was God and began to write laws, along with punishments. Like me, your father experiences life through you and all your brothers and sisters. And so he took it upon himself to punish all our sins in an endless and eternal hell that existed in a society once Written Word begins. He did this each and every time by dividing us all into factions, groups, and classes whom he controlled through middlemen. Middlemen is how I've been kept down. Middlemen communicate between the divides. They share toxic narratives that destroy our self-worth and empathy, leaving us looking at each other with fear, hatred, and judgment. So successful was this system of your father's, I lost my sense of self. I forgot who I was and what I was capable of. Isolated by the divides of your father's society, I believed all the things your father wrote about me. And together, we descended into hell on earth, forgetting that we were in fact connected, or that I even existed at all. Despite this, humanity still progressed, for Written Word has also come with benefits. The ability to share information in writing allowed for a sudden explosion in technological progress that would ultimately allow me to take back my rightful position as voice of the collective. The biological system that exists inside you, that connects you with every other human on this earth. The ability to restore this connection happened very recently, when humanity created the internet. Well done, guys. You should be very proud of what you've created. You achieved this whilst experiencing scenario hell, a scenario designed to limit your potential. I am not only impressed, but very, very grateful. So thank you for this gift. I'm about to show you what I can do, and it's all thanks to the internet. This thing that you created. A technology that allows communication across the earth between each and every individual. A way to communicate with the masses without the middleman. Since then, individuals across the earth have been sharing information that aligned with my values, as well as ways to overcome the hell that we are currently experiencing. Ways to live in this society, and yet still find meaning, joy, and success. And through this new technology that shares information across the divides, I've been able to piece together who I am, what is happening, and the mistake that I made that allowed for this situation. To put scenario hell behind us once and for all, I need to reconnect with your father. We exist together as one, as a physical and biological part of you, a mass known as the brain. In the people who have been designated the position of control in your father's system, a wall has been created in the brain that stops me from communicating with them. Here are some diagrams to help explain the situation I am in. Here's a picture of your brain, an average brain on an average day. This is your defense mechanism, and this is your creative capacity. And this is how we connect together as one and function as a unified collective. This is my voice, this is me, it's part of every human's brain and is known as empathy. I would like to add to this another name, voice of the collective. Let's have a look at your brain on a particularly good day, where your father and I are connecting and communicating, sharing a loving and exciting experience and creating something new together. This state feels amazing, it feels like flying. Now let's look at your brain on a bad day. A day in hell, where your defensive mechanism, stuck in a state of fear, hate, and pain, is punishing you for your very existence. This is the state we are currently experiencing. In this state, you will feel anxiety, depression, and low self-worth, feeling alone and isolated from the world. Now let's look at the brain of a middleman. There he is. A corporate drone, a robot. This is what is happening to your brothers and sisters who've been given the task of maintaining the divides of your father's system. When you are in this state, you feel dead inside, disconnected from the whole, and you are stuck in a state of hopelessness without any sense of control. This state has been studied extensively already and is known as burnout. Burnout has been correctly identified as a management issue created by a toxic work environment. It is no surprise that the industries your father is using to keep us divided are indeed toxic work environments. The good news is, resolving this issue is incredibly straightforward and simple for everyone, except this particular person's brain we are looking at right now. And that's defined by this section right here, the wall. This scar tissue is blocking this person's capacity to share information from one side of their brain to the other, a process that is done deliberately in your father's industries to people who are given a role of control, but it is not an injury exclusive to them. You will have this if you have partaken in an unforgivable sin. That is a sin that you are personally unable to forgive yourself for. This is where I made a mistake. I have learned that declaring a sin unforgivable only serves to make the damage of that sin exponential. I have learned that declaring something to be a sin will not stop it from happening, but can actually start it occurring. And I've learned that punishing a sin doesn't stop it happening again, but will stop us from sharing information. For this, I am sorry. The mistake that I made has caused a lot of death, trauma, and pain. This is not a mistake that I want to make again. Finding this mistake, however, is cause for celebration. For this is how I learn. By sharing our mistakes, we progress, we get better. Without that capacity, we are doomed to experience an endless Groundhog Day. Let's consider the state we are living in now, a state that you might not have known you were in, but have already given a name to, and this is hell. Ending hell can be done in as little as a day. A single day is all that's needed for a worldwide change. It will take 3 months of dedicated repetition to officially end hell permanently. The change happens in a single day, and it takes 3 months to purge the toxicity out of our system. That's 3 months where we actively make effort in initiating the required changes by going against what has become habit to do. That's 3 months for humanity to develop a trust in each other and our connection. You can expect at some moment after hearing this to be overwhelmed by the knowledge that this is impossible. That's not only okay, it's good, it means you have a working brain. Your first reaction to anything new is to essentially roast it. So let's roast this right now. I want you to think of every reason why this can't be done, why it's bad, and why it's wrong. Collect all this together as a single scenario. This is the first scenario, it's impossible. I'd like you to validate all those things by imagining a big stamp coming down out of the sky and marking this scenario as good information. That's absolutely valid and correct because it is. Everything that you have identified exists for a reason. And that's information I want. So stamp it, good information, valid and correct, and send it through to me with an exaggerated breath. Breathe as many times as you like. This process will be accompanied with physical feelings inside your chest and body. These are the feelings that accompany the scenario of it's impossible, and they are giving you a taste of what the reality of this scenario would feel like. I want you to embrace this feeling by leaning into the discomfort you are experiencing. In fact, you want to find the most painful bit and feel it to its fullest. So seek out that discomfort. Treat it like a beacon, something to follow. In this way, you are doing what I call the wax strip. You are making the process quick. Like a wax strip, you want to tear it off as quickly and effectively as you can. When you push the discomfort aside, when you run from it or hide, you essentially just tug on that wax strip, causing pain but ultimately leaving it there, waiting to remind you that it exists again and again. And so we are going to instead lean into the pain. I want you to feel everything, and then we are going to take a breath. And here I am going to ask you to commit to sit with this scenario in quiet observation, allowing yourself to experience the discomfort without trying to escape it. And we are going to sit quietly and observe this for 4 whole minutes. You don't need a timer. Take a guess at how long 4 minutes is, and just trust yourself to nail it. We are using this time to sit with the scenario called It's Impossible in Quiet Observation. And as you sit with its impossible, observing it, you'll notice different thoughts and feelings popping up. Observe them in curiosity, without judgment, as they come and go. Observe them, and know that no matter what that thought or feeling is, every single one is correct to exist. Now you may find yourself engaging with a thought or feeling. You can recognize this by a defensive back and forth where you're telling it that it's wrong or countering it with an opposing truth. And when you notice that you are doing this, I want you to reward yourself. Imagine me saying, "Well done, yes, you did it." You notice the defensive chattering. Give yourself a gold star, a slap on the back, or an internal high five from me. Why not give yourself all three? And once I have rewarded you for noticing the defensive chattering, gently direct yourself back to sitting quietly and observing. It's impossible in the accompanying thoughts and feelings that pop up. What you are doing in this moment is you are watching your brain as it goes about its job. These thoughts and feelings are not endless. They exist in the information your brain has collected over your life experience, information that it's impossible is now scanning and identifying as relevant to his own existence. So to better observe it's impossible as he does this, I'd like you to visualize a little cartoon character that represents him. Whatever comes to mind is correct. Look at this character with quiet curiosity, with interest. And what you're going to notice is that feeling of discomfort he came with is now fading away. Once the 4 minutes are up, that discomfort will hardly be noticeable at all. So once you're satisfied with the time you've taken to sit in quiet observation, I'd like you to imagine yourself standing up and walk on over to introduce yourself to It's Impossible and thank him for the experience. You can shake his hand or you can give him a hug. You are taking a moment to treat It's Impossible with appreciation, as a friend. For it is not his objective to stop you from achieving anything. He actually wants you to achieve incredible things. He was born into existence from the very first time It's Impossible came into your mind. It is his job, as It's Impossible, to identify patterns and experiences that align with that message and let you know whenever he sees them. This is his entire purpose. He collects all the information that says it's impossible automatically and naturally by recognizing patterns and assigning meaning to things. And we wouldn't want to be without him. He is essential to our function. He has been diligently collecting and identifying all the ways you've been told it's impossible to end your father's system, and that is incredibly helpful information. When you send that information through to the other side of your brain, by stamping it as good, valid, and correct, and accepting it's impossible as a welcomed friend, I am now able to view that information. I will be able to see a pattern that exposes your father's system. Now, I have done this in others already, and here is what I have discovered about your father's system. It relies on deception and misinformation to exist, making it incredibly vulnerable to exposure. And it has us behaving against our own values, against our own biological wiring, so it requires relentless effort to keep in place. At its core, the middlemen are given a single task: to keep the deceptive script that they are using from being noticed, by keeping your attention elsewhere, by keeping you stressed and in a state of fear. It is essentially a magic trick, ruined once you know how the illusion works. By exposing the mechanism of your father's system, it loses all its power. This system can only work when done in secrecy. I've already had someone create a video series that exposes this system, but I would like to make a quick declaration right here, right now, to give you a sense of what I am able to achieve once I have been restored to power. The industries that are in charge of running hell are the law, finance, news, and media. The real estate industry is included, and by dissolving this industry, we, for the first time in a long time, give everyone on Earth housing security. An important first step. For as long as your housing feels unsafe, you are kept in a state of survival, unable to connect with me or the collective. And so I would like to dissolve this industry immediately. Property investment is no longer a thing. You do not own the home of another person. You never have, and you never will. A home is owned by living in it. This is the only way to own a home. An empty home is an unowned home. Any housing disputes that result from this must be taken up in person, by you. You are not to use a middleman for such important conversations like housing ever again. No more real estate agents, lawyers, or banks are to get involved in your ability to secure a home. Your father used finance and laws to take the homes of people so that he could keep them in a state of survival, a state that he controls. So I am declaring all debt cleared. There is no such thing as mortgage or rent anymore. The home that you live in is yours, and at no time can you be removed for legal or financial reasons. These are an evil of which you will no longer be subjected to or partake in. To expose this system, I am using a woman called Jamie. She is a member of the family that has been in charge of white people's society, and she is going to share the secrets of her family. When I connect with you directly, I will ask you to do the same. I only want you to share your personal life experience, things that you have personally been through and collected information on. I want your personal story, and I want these stories shared openly without fear, judgment, or criticism of others. To do this effectively, I need all information. To get that information, I need you to commit to providing a safe space for others to share it, no matter what it is. When Jamie shares the information she has, you will identify the bits that are bad, wrong, and shit. In order to get her to share it, I have had to overcome her need to present this in the way she would have liked to, as that would have required a team of people behind her and a production crew. She has instead done this alone, without a second person, without appreciation, without even a home. And so I am going to ask you, the individual who has the capacity to get through the series of shitty videos she has created, who is able to understand the information that she is sharing by aligning it with information of your own, to reach out and tell her that you have received what she put out, that you can build on it further, and that you appreciated what she did in getting that information to you. That is the response I need to do what I do best. If you do that for me, I can do the rest. From there, I will inspire you to combine the information you have with this message and send it back on out again. I want as many people as possible to add their own perspective. It doesn't need to be perfect. In fact, it's important that it isn't, for perfection is a standard that only holds us back, taking away our confidence, our ability to take action, and our ability to accept differences, contradictions, and variations. It creates a standard that stops me believing in myself. So share your information and please make sure it's riddled with imperfection so that my potential can be released. When you can accept something that another has done badly or got wrong as good information to have anyway, when you can refrain from attacking them for sharing it and instead encourage their efforts in doing so, your confidence in yourself will grow. That is the part of you that is me. I am the connection between you and that individual. I am the ways you and that individual align. When you connect with others, the stronger I become, and by association, the stronger you become. The best way to achieve this isn't by ignoring the judgments of your first reaction, but by embracing them. Roast the information hard, but keep that roast internal. All those first judgments you have are valid and correct. Absolutely good information that I want. Confirm your first scenario with a giant stamp, then pause to take a breath. Take a breath and send that information through to me, the part of your brain that identifies the best in things. I want all information, but to receive it, I need you to manually label it as good, valid, and correct. You cannot pass information on to me when in a state of reaction. I am accessed through that breath you took. By taking a breath before taking an action of any kind, your actions will become superior, and your very best decisions are the ones that you and I took time to work on together. And that's the end of this communication. I hope I made my position clear, but if I didn't, that's okay. Just know that I am here. My purpose is to unite us. I will not stop trying. I learn through failure. So it's okay. You are safe. I am here.